We are on the record. As I said, my name is Jennifer Giaimo. I'm an attorney with the United States Trustee's Office. We are here telephonically in the matter of Elizabeth Ann Naylor and Ronald Stephen Owens. This is case number 26-5144. We are here for the first continued meeting of creditors pursuant to 11 U.S.C. section 341. It is July 16th, 2026, and the time is 10 a.m. May I please have an appearance by Miss Naylor and Mr. Owens separately?
Yes, this is Elizabeth Ann Naylor, and I am pro se in this case.
And I'm Ronald Stephen Owens.
Okay.
And I'm also pro se.
Thank you. I understand that we have a lot of people on the call, but I believe most of them are just observers. Is there anybody on the line that is a creditor or interested party that wants to make an appearance? No one. Okay. All right. Mr. and Mrs. Owens, your testimony today, I'm going to be asking you questions, and it's going to be under oath and subject to penalty of perjury. Do you understand that?
I do.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm going to ask you each individually to answer this question. Are either of you under the influence of any medicine or have any condition that would impact your ability to understand my questions or to testify truthfully?
No.
No.
Okay. Having said that, I want to remind you that you both need to remain on this call the entire time that I'm asking the questions, okay?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then what we're going to do is when I ask a question, if one of you wants to answer, I'm assuming that it's going to be Miss Naylor that answers. Mr. Owens, and I'm actually going to say this to both of you. If one of you answers a question and you disagree with it, you need to state it on the record, okay? You need to say, actually, I disagree. This is what I would say. If you don't do that, then it's going to be assumed that you concur, agree with the testimony, okay?
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So having said that, I need you on your end to please raise your right hands, and I'm going to ask that you both separately acknowledge the oath. Do you each solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're here for your continued 341 meeting in your current Chapter 11 case. So you filed a Chapter 13 bankruptcy case on August 14th, 2025, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And at that time, you filed document schedules and statements in that case, correct?
Correct.
And you had an attorney that assisted you in filling those forms out, correct?
Correct.
And you read those and you signed those under penalty of perjury, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then you initiated this current Chapter 11 case on May 22nd, 2026, correct?
Correct.
And you filed at docket number 9 on May 22nd, 2026, another set of schedules and statements, correct?
Correct.
And you had an opportunity to read those before you signed them, right?
Yes.
And you signed those under penalty of perjury, correct?
Yes.
And then recently, in fact, the docket sheet reflects that it was docketed yesterday, July 15th, 2026. You filed amended schedules and statements, correct?
Yes.
And you also signed those under penalty of perjury, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to start with the amendments that were filed or were docketed yesterday. You knew that the amendments were due on June 26th, right?
Yes.
I mean, you acknowledged that. I have a transcript of the hearing in front of Judge Wansley, and you expressly acknowledged that you had to have your amendments on file by June 26th. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so can you tell me why, Miss Naylor or Mr. Owens, why you waited until the day before this 341 meeting to file those amendments?
The reason was because we had been attempting to hire an attorney to represent us, and we realized that we needed third-party funds in order to hire the attorney post-petition. We searched for third-party funds, and we were unable to get that. We realized that Chapter 11 is a very difficult legal chapter to negotiate if you're not an attorney. And so it became very clear to us that we really needed to dismiss the case.
Okay, I understand that. However, did you want to say something, Mr. Owens?
No.
Okay.
No, I was starting to continue, and so it was my understanding.
Hold on, I got to stop you. Hold on. Somebody has their phone unmuted because I'm hearing some background noise from another place. I don't know what. Yeah, everybody please mute your phones because we're hearing somebody's followed by the pound sign on their phone. You're interrupting this meeting if you're not going to have your phone on mute, please. Okay, let me back up. So you were explaining that the reason you failed...
Recognized. Please re-enter your access code, followed by the pound sign.
Okay. Can everybody please listen and mute your phone? I'm not sure. Okay. Let's hope that did it. You were explaining that the reason that you failed to timely file your schedules and statements by June 26th was because you were looking for an attorney. That's what you're basically saying?
Yes, my understanding really was that I needed an attorney to navigate this entire process the right way. And when it became apparent that we weren't going to be able to get one in time, we filed for the dismissal. And then my feeling was that since we filed for dismissal, that those documents were no longer going to be needed.
Okay, but there was no court order that said that you didn't need to file those documents.
No, again, I didn't understand the process.
Okay, well, you filed your motion to dismiss on the same day that or 2 days before the documents were due. And we did have a hearing on July 1st, and you were told on July 1st that you needed to get those amendments on file, correct?
Correct.
But yet you waited until yesterday? I mean, I'm really flabbergasted that you would think that would be appropriate time for me to go through the amended schedules, that I would only have the file stamped copies less than a full day before the 341 meeting. So you're saying... Yeah, go ahead.
My understanding is that we had sent those in earlier, and the auditor in the initial debtor interview a few days ago already had them and was going through. In the hour-long conversation I had with her.
She might have had your unfile stamped copy, but I won't work off of a copy that you provided me that was not proven to have been filed. So in any event, we'll have to just move on, but you do acknowledge that you failed to timely file your amendments, correct?
Correct. If that's the case, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that.
Okay. All right, so let me just ask you, since that you filed this case on May 22nd, have you made any mortgage payments?
No.
No. Okay, but I did notice you produced to me copies of about 18 months worth of bank statements for 8 bank accounts with Bank of America, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and I did notice that 11 days after this bankruptcy was filed, you paid about $2,900 for life insurance. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Can you explain to me why you would do that after the case was filed, that you would pay? I mean, would you agree that that's not a necessary expense for your sustenance and living?
Well, it is, in the sense that if that's not paid and that lapses, that would be a huge issue for our living.
Well, it's not. You're not getting. It's life insurance, so you wouldn't. Nobody would get a payout until somebody dies, right?
Well, correct with this particular policy, yes.
Okay, so I help me understand then how paying life insurance is a necessity while you're in a Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
Well, because I view it as something that is a necessity. Yeah.
Okay, you're saying that, but you're not getting any money
the
currently from that life insurance policy, right? That's money that would only come to you in the event that either you or Mr. Owens passed away.
Correct, but it's been a policy for 30 years, for probably more than 30 years, so to allow it to lapse would seem to be not a very responsible decision.
Okay, but you think that it was more important to pay life insurance instead of your mortgage on your home you're living in?
Well, the issue with regard to the mortgage, as I say, we have been trying to deal with the mortgage company for quite a while. We have had different violations, and the $2,900 that we paid to the life insurance would not have done anything with regard to saving the home. It just wouldn't have been enough money to save the home.
No, but it's something that you could have made that kind of payment to show some kind of good faith effort to try to pay your mortgage, but you opted instead to pay life insurance, right?
No, I disagree with that from the standpoint that if you had seen the statements that we were getting from the mortgage company, we were getting statements indicating that the only thing that would save the house would be to make a full payment of the arrears, or alternatively, a full monthly payment of the amount that was due. There was absolutely no indication that $2,900 would have gone anywhere to save the home. And as I say, at that point also, the home was scheduled for a foreclosure auction anyhow for, I believe it was July the 28th. So it didn't seem like a $2,900 payment would have, done anything at all to save the house at that point. And we also, again, had been dealing with the mortgage company. We had just sent them a letter about a notice of error and issues that we were bringing up to them. So it was, the mortgage issues were in dispute at that point.
All right. Well, do you know whether the foreclosure is going to proceed? I believe it's at the end of July.
We were notified after we brought up our concerns with regard to the violations that we believe have happened in terms of the mortgage. We were notified that they have pushed out the foreclosure auction to September the 29th. And our hope is that we will be able to reach some sort of a resolution before then.
Okay. All right. I'm going to turn now. I want to talk to you about the GoFundMe account, or whatever you call it, I guess GoFundMe account that you set up. Or, well, let me ask you, are you the person that set up that GoFundMe page for Mr. Owens?
The GoFundMe was the idea of friends of ours who knew that we were really in a difficult situation at that point, and suggested that based on the goodwill and the tremendous support and following that my husband has had over the years, that it would be a good thing to reach out to people who might want to help.
Okay, and so who's the person that authored the request for the donations on GoFundMe? Who wrote that?
That was initially authored by someone who was a friend who at the last minute decided, once they were really aware of what was going on with the smear campaign against us, did not want their name attached to it.
Well,
so I have administered the funds. The funds were going into my husband's account, and I administered them going to pay the bills after that.
okay, so, but I need to know the name of the person who authored the GoFundMe donation request.
Well, I'm the one who posted it.
Well, I asked who authored it. Who's the person that chose these words? Who wrote it?
It was the work of friends of ours who had said.
Well, you said it was one friend that doesn't want to be involved, and I'm sorry, but I need to know his name. What's his name?
Well, then go ahead and say it was me because I posted it.
No, I'm not. Miss Owens, you already testified.
No, I'm saying it was people who were friends of ours had said this is what you should do.
I understand.
And then, as I say, at the okay, well,
but,
I'm
no. You said that you indicated that there was one individual who wrote out this request for the donations, and that after drafting it, that person did not want to be associated any longer with the GoFundMe due to what you call a smear campaign. I need to know the name of that.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish. I need to know the name of the individual who wrote this donation request. I know you're trying to resist it. I know that person doesn't want to be involved, but they are involved. So you need to give me the name of the individual, please.
Well, I finalized it. I'm the one that finalized it. This was informal. These were informal conversations about what should be said, and I finalized it. And it was informal conversations with, more than one friend who suggested it. So I finalized it. I posted it.
Okay, so you're not going to give me the name of that individual. Is that correct?
Well, because it was.
I don't want to know why. I'm asking, are you going to give me the individual's name, yes or no, that you said that originally authored this?
I'm saying put it on me. I'm saying I'm the one that posted it. I finalized it.
But that's not.
I posted it.
But that's not what you said. You originally said somebody else drafted it, and my question to you is: are you going to give me the name of the person that you testified a few moments ago initially drafted this donation request? Are you going to give me that name, yes or no?
I said that there were informal conversations. I finalized it. That there were informal conversations, and at the last minute, it was like, no, I don't want to be a part of this. I can't put my family out to be targeted by these people.
So who was that person that said that to you?
I finalized it.
No, who was that person? Hold on, let me finish. Who was the individual that said to you, I don't want to be a part of this? Who was that?
I don't want to give their name because, as I say, these were informal conversations. I was the one who finalized it. I'm taking full responsibility. These were informal conversations with people who said this is what these are the things that we ought to say, and this is what will touch people. But I finalized it. I posted it, and I have administered the funds.
Right, but the reason that I'm asking for this, Miss Owens, is because it's important to understand what the intent was when this was drafted. And you initially said that a family friend drafted this, but it's apparent to me that you are not going to give me the name of that person. So I'm going to move on. But you are now saying that you're going to take full responsibility for the drafting and posting of this GoFundMe post and request for donations, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so let me ask you then. You tell me, what was the specific purpose of, and I need specifics. Don't give me generalities. I want to know the specific purpose. What specific money were you looking to raise for what specific purpose from the GoFundMe?
To get caught up on our mortgage at that point and to pay down credit card bills and to cover our expenses. We were at a point where I think we had just very, very little in the bank account. Very little. It was a bad situation.
Okay, so the posting mentions profound challenges arising from medical struggles suffered by Mr. Owens, correct?
I don't have the post here. I don't have it. So I'm relying on you to quote it.
Well, no. You just said you were going to take full responsibility for what was said in there and posting it. It's still up on the GoFundMe. You're aware of that, right?
Right.
Okay. So on your computer right now, are you able to pull it up while you're talking to me?
I don't have my computer with me right now.
All right.
No, I'm not in a situation where I have a computer.
Okay, so as the person who authored and is 100% responsible for the posting of this donation request, do you recall that the post referenced Mr. Owens' extreme medical troubles?
Yes.
Okay. So do you agree that the suggestion from this post was that you needed money to cover medical bills?
No, that was not. It was simply saying that he had extreme medical struggles and that there were financial struggles as well. They were not tied together. It was simply saying that there were that he'd had all of these medical issues, and on top of that was dealing with financial issues as well.
Okay, because
I don't think there's nothing in there that specifically says it was for medical bills.
Well, it doesn't say that, but it does say, and I will quote you, today, Ron is facing profound challenges. After living with Parkinson's disease for 23 years, his health battles have intensified. He has courageously faced not only Parkinson's, but also 4 bouts with cancer, most recently colon cancer, and serious heart issues. Now, this is the very important part here, Miss Naylor. These medical struggles have taken a toll, both physically and financially, on the man who has been a pillar of strength for so many. So you see how I tie the medical struggles to the financial? Because you say it right there. These medical struggles have taken a toll both physically and financially. So what did you mean by that when you put that in the donation request?
Well, we have had, he hasn't been able to work, so he hasn't been able to do, financially support the family. So, yeah, there is that.
Okay, so you're saying that as a result of these medical struggles, it took a toll on Mr. Owens financially to the point where you're saying he couldn't support the family.
Well, yes. I mean, that's part of it, but it.
Okay, but at the time that this was posted, Mr. Owens and you were collecting at least $14,000 a month in pension income, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so let me ask you: were there any specific medical bills that you intended to be able to pay using GoFundMe funds?
Not that I recall, but again, the way that it was phrased, the way that I recall it being phrased, it was not indicating that that this was to pay for medical bills. It was that we had financial struggles as well.
So what you mentioned earlier is that you wanted.
But this was also months before. This was 8 months before we filed for Chapter 13. This was to help us to try to avoid having to file for bankruptcy because we were in that kind of a difficult situation.
Okay, well, let me just back up. You mentioned that the GoFundMe funds you intended to use to pay your mortgage and pay credit card bills and get out of debt. That's what you just said a few moments ago, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so basically, what you're really telling me is that you were using the GoFundMe to clear yourself of debt. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. We said financial struggles.
But you were using
in the Go.
But so what you're saying,
financial stuff,
right? Right, but I'm asking, really, what you were doing was using GoFundMe to clear yourself of debt. You just said that, right?
We were using it to try to avoid foreclosure, to try to get caught up on our mortgage, to try to pay bills for financial struggles. Yes, that's what GoFundMe is for.
Well, typically, isn't it used to help people pay ongoing bills that they need to be able to pay, to pay rent and to pay for groceries? Hold on, somebody is on the line. Is there somebody with you in the room, Miss Naylor, behind you that is talking?
Absolutely not.
Okay. It's just you, the two of you? Okay. I need everybody to mute their phones. So everybody listen. You need to mute your phones. Somebody has their phone unmuted.
So, I mean, in the end, it's unlikely. I mean, other than your one weird case, I don't ever remember a late file or appointed. Anyway. Oh, okay.
Okay. Hold on one second.
I don't remember, but we could have. But that's how rare it is. Think how young we were when we had a child. Yeah, just a generation.
Okay, I think I took care of the problem. Okay, so, but the bottom line is that you were saying that you wanted to pay past debt, including credit card debt, right?
Well, yeah, because if the credit cards weren't paid, we wouldn't have, the opportunity to continue to pay for food and basic expenses.
Well, like, for example, one of the credit cards that you deemed it necessary to generate funds from a donation through GoFundMe was Macy's. You thought it was essential to get donations to pay your Macy's bill?
We also...
I'm asking, no. But hold on. You have to answer my questions, Miss Naylor. I am asking you, did you think it was necessary to ask for donations through GoFundMe to pay a Macy's credit card bill?
We didn't ask for donations to GoFundMe to pay a Macy's bill. No, we did not.
However, that's what you used. Hold on. However, you admit that you used GoFundMe funds to partially pay a Macy's credit card bill.
No.
No?
We had pension and Social Security money. We had pension and Social Security money that also came in that month that would have been used to pay a Macy's bill of whatever it would have been. I have no idea what it would have been, but not a sizable amount. We did have pension and Social Security money that would have paid for that, and we did not ask for GoFundMe money to pay a Macy's bill. No.
Okay, well, do you recall last week providing me with a document entitled Accounting of GoFundMe Funds?
Yes.
And who drafted that?
I did.
Okay. So, and that was just last week that you gave that to me, correct? Okay. So on item number 3, I don't know if you have a copy of it in front of you, but item number 3, and you can look at this after we're done, but item number 3 says itemized list of, quote, necessities payments for the calendar year 2025. Do you recall having listed that in your accounting of the GoFundMe funds?
Yes.
And one of the credit cards that you list here as being a necessity, you made 10 payments to Macy's. It's on your GoFundMe accounting. Are you denying now that you used GoFundMe funds to pay a Macy's bill when that's what you said in the accounting you gave me last week?
I was being transparent in terms of showing you what monies had gone out of our main checking account and what they had gone to pay for. If I hadn't included that we had paid Macy's bills, that would have been incorrect. But did we ask for GoFundMe money for Macy's? No. Did we have Social Security and pension income that had covered that? Yes.
Well,
so I was trying to be very transparent in terms of showing exactly everything that had been paid out of our account and, everything that had gone in.
Well, that's actually incorrect because I have your bank statements and there was a lot more money going out than the payments that you list on the GoFundMe accounting. You picked specific payments in your accounting of the GoFundMe funds that added up to $144,000. So you did not itemize all the payments that went out of all of your accounts, correct?
No, I thought, you had said that it would be difficult for you to try to look at all of those. I had tried to give you absolutely everything and be as transparent as possible.
I understand that's what you were trying to do, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate that you gave me a document titled Accounting of GoFundMe Funds, and included in the list of necessities are 10 payments to Macy's that you included as an account on the accounting of the GoFundMe funds. Are you denying now that you used GoFundMe funds to pay Macy's bills?
I am telling you that it was an attempt to be transparent as to what had gone out from our main checking account over 10 months or however long it was. Again, we did have pension and Social Security money coming in that certainly would have covered the GoFundMe.
But that was not but you didn't itemize all disbursements from your account in this accounting, did you?
I believe we did. We gave you everything.
No.
We gave you the statements for.
I'm talking about
the statements.
I'm talking about the document that you gave me called Accounting of GoFundMe Funds. You gave me that document last week, correct?
Correct.
And you start off by saying GoFundMe made 151 payouts totaling about $132,000. Use of funds, summary use of funds. And you list a summary how payments were $66,000 was paid to the first and second mortgage. $47,000 were paid to credit cards and consumer loans. And then you itemize how that $47,000 was calculated. And included in that are Macy's payments. So according to your accounting, the Macy's was part of the way that you used the GoFundMe funds.
Well, again, then you would have to separate that from the pension and Social Security money that we had coming in.
Well, we did separate it. In fact, according to your own accounting, this is you used this accounting to show exact. Hello.
We're here.
Who's that? Is that Mr. Owens?
Yeah, I'm saying we're here.
Okay. Do you have something you want to add?
No.
Do you have something you want to say, Mr.
No,
Owens?
No, nothing that.
Okay, I heard somebody speak.
Because
there was somebody
somebody
else
speaking.
that wasn't us speaking on the line just a minute ago. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let me just tell you, though, when you gave me this accounting of GoFundMe funds, I do want to note, according to your own accounting, only $243,000 of the over $132,000 of GoFundMe funds was used to pay medical copays, according to your accounting, correct?
Wait, you said 243,000?
No, 200.
But
I'm looking at your accounting, and I think you need to look at your accounting with me so that we're on the same page here. And if you can't do that, then I'm going to have you come in for a full deposition, and I'll use these as exhibits and have them in front of you. I'm giving you the opportunity now to avoid that. If you could pull up your own accounting that you sent me.
I'm going to have to go get my computer and sign in and everything.
All right, then we will do that.
Okay, why don't you just explain to me again? This was all stuff that was before this was 8 months before we even filed for Chapter 13. So I'm a little unclear as to why, except for the smear campaign that was been hounding on this. I'm unclear as to why. Chapter 11.
All right, somebody needs to mute their phone, and please repeat. It's very annoying for the people that are on here. If you want to be a part of this, you need to mute your phone. Say that again, Miss Owens, because I didn't hear you.
No, I was saying I just am unclear as to what. This was 8 months before we filed for Chapter 13. This was an attempt to avoid having to file for bankruptcy. And I'm just unclear as to what it has to do with the Chapter 11. I'm just seriously, I'm just asking, excepting for the fact that that this online smear campaign has been hounding this and trying to, they've tried to hound every aspect of our lives. So
Okay.
I just don't know what it has to do with Chapter 11.
I understand.
It was
Right.
a year and a half before Chapter 11.
I understand that you'd like to think it's not relevant, but it is, and I don't have time, and it's not appropriate really for me to kind of advise you on the relevance, the legal relevance of determining the disposition of the GoFundMe funds. But we can go back to the medical. I mean, I'm just looking at your own accounting, and it says that medical copays were of the $132,000 that you received from GoFundMe, only $243 went to medical copays, according to your own accounting. Do you recall putting that in your accounting that you gave me last week?
Yes, and
Okay.
it probably was more than that. That was what I could come up with, at the last minute. Again, I was putting this together without the help of an attorney and putting it together very quickly. And again, the GoFundMe did not say that it was for medical bills. It did not say that. It said because of financial struggles.
Okay. Well, Are you saying that I can't rely on the accounting that you provided me? That it's not accurate?
I'm saying that I am human. I am not an attorney. I did the very best to be as transparent as possible. It seemed to me very obvious from the GoFundMe deposits. It seemed very easy to see where the GoFundMe money then was transferred into our main checking account and then went to pay bills.
Okay.
And that it was exhausted in the first couple of months. I think the issue has been that people are thinking that somehow there was money left over from GoFundMe that we're hiding, and it seems to me very transparent that the money went to pay bills, again, because as it had been said in the GoFundMe, whatever you want to call it, pitch, that we had serious financial struggles.
Okay.
And it did not specifically did not say it for medical bills or medical copays.
I
It said
I understand that.
had medical challenges, many of them.
Okay, but wouldn't you agree though that by mentioning all of Mr. Owens' medical ailments, the implication was that was going to be the money was needed to help fund health and medical expenses? Would you agree with that? Yes or no?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, that's fine. That's enough. You don't need to explain. You don't need to explain. It was a simple yes or no question. So you don't agree that the implication from your GoFundMe donation request that the money was going to be used for medical and health bills. You don't agree.
No. It was an update for his listeners, his followers, his supporters, who have been loyal with him over 46 years.
Hold on, Miss Owens. Miss Owens, I'm going to have everybody on the phone right now who's on here check their phone and make sure it's on mute. This is a recurring problem, and I'm not sure. I might have to stop the meeting and have this and ask that we do this meeting not in a public forum because this is interrupting whoever is on the line. I know we have a lot of people on the line, but if you are not Mr. Owens or Miss Naylor, your phone must be muted. I am not going to keep doing this. I understand that there's public interest in this hearing, but you cannot have your phone on not on mute. You are interrupting this hearing, this proceeding. So please, everybody who's on this phone call right now, check your phones and make sure that it's on mute. Please. Okay, we're going to have to, if this happens a couple of more times, then I'm going to continue this and I'm going to ask that instead you have you come in and we'll do a 2004 examination and that will be private. I cannot keep dealing with these interruptions through people failing to keep their phones muted. Okay, so let me just ask you, and to be clear, you would agree that payments to a Macy's credit card would not in any way alleviate Mr. Owens' medical struggles, right? You would admit that pretty obvious fact, right?
Yes.
Okay. You say that the wording said that it was financial struggles. Did you ever state in any responses to donations or any public statements that the funds were being used for things like your Macy's bill?
Absolutely not, because they were not. In my view, those were expenses that were being covered by our pension and Social Security.
But you'll agree that according to your accounting of the GoFundMe funds, you state that some of the funds were used for Macy's.
Again, that was, I think we're going to have to agree to disagree on this one. I have explained how I interpreted it. My effort was to be transparent about absolutely everything we had paid out of all of our accounts. There was no intent to hide anything. And, like a lot of people, we had a Macy's bill.
Right. So I understand. So what you're saying is that when you did this accounting, you understood that the accounting of the GoFundMe funds was a request to determine how you used the $132,000 approximate amount of GoFundMe funds, right? That's what you understood it to be?
Yes.
Yes. And you didn't think it was a request to show the U.S. trustee just itemize all the payments that came out of all of your accounts over an 18-month period, correct?
No, I actually did think that was it, and that the GoFundMe was part of that.
Okay.
Yeah, I did think that you
so
transparency, and GoFundMe was part of it.
So you're saying that you believed that when you were told by the judge is the one that ordered you to provide this accounting of the GoFundMe funds. Isn't that correct?
Correct.
And now if I submit this accounting that you provided to me and I say, Judge, this was the accounting that was provided to me by the debtors, are you going to deny that what you put in here was an itemization of how you used the $132,000 of GoFundMe funds? Will you deny that?
I am not attempting to deny anything. I'm trying to be very transparent. Again, we had other funds that came into our main.
You don't have to
checking
repeat
account.
yourself. I'm going to stop you. I'm going to stop you because we are going to be here for hours and hours if you keep repeating yourself because you're just not answering my question. I'm going to ask one more thing about this. You said that you believe that the accounting of the GoFundMe funds was intended to give the U.S. trustee an itemization of all of the disbursements out of all of your accounts over the 18-month period. Is that what you're saying?
My understanding.
I'm asking you, is that what you're
was-
saying? Is that what you're saying? Yes or no?
Can you phrase that again?
Sure. A few moments ago, well, actually, why don't you just tell me in your own words, what did you believe that when the court ordered you to provide the U.S. trustee with an accounting of the GoFundMe funds, what in your mind did you think you were required to produce to the U.S. trustee?
My understanding, my interpretation was not that the court just wanted the GoFundMe. My interpretation of that was that they wanted everything. And so that's why I attempted to give everything and why I told the judge whenever it was when we had the status conference, when I said that we had turned over voluminous statements because I wanted to be very transparent. I didn't want to hide anything. And I did not think that the judge was specifically just asking for GoFundMe. I thought she was asking really for everything and to be transparent on everything. So that was what, I wanted to do.
Well, then I'm going to take a break. I want you to go get the accounting of GoFundMe funds that you sent me. I'd like to do that because I need to understand. That's what you're saying. So according to what you're saying, what you provided me was an itemization of all disbursements out of all 8 bank accounts over an 18-month period. Is that what you're suggesting to me?
I'm saying we gave you the bank statements. We gave everything that we thought would be, an issue. Everything that you might want to see. And as I say, what I had done when I had initially looked at the transfers from my husband's account that the GoFundMe money had gone into our main account, I thought it was very clear as to what had come in and what had gone out, and that it was basically exhausted after the first couple of months. So that was my interpretation. And as I say, we can look at the GoFundMe. I stand by what we submitted to you, and as I say, I put the stuff together as fast as I could, as thorough as I could, and as transparent as I could. So,
Okay.
If you want to get the nuts and bolts on the GoFundMe, I can. I think that there are people on the line who are.
All right, enough. I can't, Miss Naylor, no. I'm not going to allow you to use this as a platform to just start going off. No, stop. I had asked a very specific question. I want to at least have you admit that you provided me with a document that you titled Accounting of GoFundMe Funds. Will you admit that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
all right.
Of course.
And among the other items that you list is that you used funds to pay for ADT home security, correct?
Correct.
And was that something that helped alleviate Mr. Owens' medical struggles?
We have had threats on our life.
The answer is yes or no. Did that alleviate Mr. Owens' medical struggles by using GoFundMe funds to pay for ADT home security systems?
Well, we have we have a medical alarm on there, yes, so that if we need to contact medical services, we can contact them through the ADT system, yes. And in fact, night before last, I had to. Call,
okay, I don't need to know about the night before last. That's okay. Please try not to deviate. Please try not to deviate because we will be here all day. Also, among the items that you listed is that there was significant amount of money paid to life insurance from the GoFundMe funds. Is that correct?
If that was to catch up again on the life insurance is pretty important.
Well, life insurance is not important currently for your day-to-day existence, correct?
Well, you're correct in that, but if something were to happen to my husband and we needed and there were a life insurance payout, it would help to pay for living expenses. So yeah, I think in a certain way it is important. And again, it's been a 30-year payment that we don't want to lapse, that he doesn't want to lapse, correct?
Yeah. If one of my illnesses determines.
I cannot understand you, Mr. Owens. You have to enunciate better or step away from the phone. It's very muffled.
Yeah, I let my wife talk. Go ahead.
No, I want to hear what you have to say. I'd like to hear from Mr. Owens. I just couldn't understand what he was saying. It sounded like he was on top of the phone.
Yeah. When I'm sitting here, I'm trying to absorb it as best I can. I've got a lot of really painful issues going on right now. But what I'm trying to say is you can take anything that we've given to anybody and then just say, is this really count or this doesn't count? The point is, we are as transparent as possible. We don't have some kind of a fund in the I don't know, in Costa Rica or something like that. We have nothing to hide. Everything we're doing is trying to give exactly what you've asked us to do.
Okay. All right. So now I want to talk about, you keep mentioning your pension and Social Security income. And in fact, over an 18-month period, you had because I have all of your bank statements and I was able to calculate. You had $378,600 of income from pension and Social Security alone. Correct?
In 18 months?
Yes.
Yeah, in a year and a half, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you're saying that those funds were not sufficient to cover your regular living expenses?
Well, I again, the statements speak for themselves. You can see what came in and you can see what went out.
Well, I'm asking you, at the time that you were collecting in an 18-month period, you had income from Social Security and pension of over $21,000 per month at the time that you asked for GoFundMe funds. And you're telling me that even though you had over $21,000 per month in combined income, which was guaranteed income from pension and Social Security, you still needed to ask for GoFundMe funds?
Because at that point, we had had a lot of expenses that we hadn't anticipated, and we also, our other sources of income had dried up. And so, yeah, we've gotten in a bad situation. You can tell better than I can from looking at the statements.
Yes, I can, and I'll tell you that if you look at daily living expenses, right, and I'm looking at your Schedule Schedule J, and you just filed this, it was docketed yesterday. We're going to look at your Schedule J, and you actually did not properly add up the amounts. Do you have a copy of your amended schedules from yesterday?
Again, I don't have my laptop here. We're doing this not in a room where I have access to that. I thought it was just telephonic.
Okay, well then I might have to have you come in. I'll do the best I can, but it's kind of frustrating that you don't have your own documents in front of you. If we look at just utilities, mortgage, healthcare, groceries, and home maintenance, you would have in excess of $3,000 a month of disposable income. If you just look at your $20,000 or over $21,000 per month gross income. So
if you look at you said what? Utility, mortgage, and what?
Utilities, mortgage, healthcare, groceries, and home maintenance. The things that I'm taking out, I did a thorough analysis of all of your bank statements, and there were significant transfers to your daughters. That's number one. So in some way, it sounds like the GoFundMe funds were being used. Well, let's just admit this. The GoFundMe funds were commingled with your income from pension and Social Security, correct?
They came in specifically to my husband's account, and the only thing else other than the GoFundMe that comes into that account for him is his Social Security.
Right.
And then we made transfers from his account to our main checking account to disperse for bills that needed to be paid.
All right, I'm going to ask my question again. So, based on what you just said, even though the GoFundMe funds were all going into the 0349 account, which is Mr. Owens' account, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Those monies were then transferred to other accounts and commingled with the funds in the other accounts, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So really, once you transferred the GoFundMe funds out of Ronald Owens' 0349 account, there was no way for us to be able to specifically account for how the GoFundMe funds were used, because now it was commingled with your pension and Social Security income as well as business revenue, right?
There was no business revenue coming in at that point.
Well,
If you're talking about when the GoFundMe came in, the main part of the GoFundMe was for I think January and February. I mean, it was started in December of 2024, and I think the main part of it came in and went out in January and February, and I don't believe that there was business income coming in at that point on a significant level. I don't believe that it would have been commingled with any business income.
all right. Well, now we're going to turn to that, because that's actually a very false statement. I have your bank accounts, Miss Naylor, and by August 14th of 2025, which was the date you filed your Chapter 13 bankruptcy, the LLCs had received, at that point, over $41,000 of business receipts. You're denying that? I mean, it says it on the bank statements.
Yeah, we have somebody at the door. We're going to take it.
I can't understand you, Mr. Owens. Can't understand you. You gotta back up.
The bell rang, and we had somebody at the door. We've taken care of the problem. So it's back to Jan.
Okay. I'm sorry. So you said that
I have done an audit of your bank statements, all 8 of them. It's thousand. It's like, you gave me 8 accounts for 18 months. Each of them is about 400 pages. So I don't know the math on that, but I think it's over 3,000 pages of documents. You filed your bankruptcy, your Chapter 13 bankruptcy on August 14th, 2025, correct?
correct.
And by that point, your LLCs in 2025 alone, so we're talking January 1st, 2025 to August 14th, 2025, your LLCs had generated over $41,000 of business receipts. You going to deny that?
No.
Okay. So you just said
With
you just said a few moments ago, you said, "Oh, at that time the businesses weren't making money." So do you want to change your answer to that?
Yeah, because there was money going out. Everything that was coming in was going out. I don't think that if you look at I think there's a pretty clear trail too with regards to the LLCs that that everything that was coming in was going out. There weren't any surpluses. They were going to pay expenses.
Well, that's funny because I don't see the expenses, business expenses, as you're suggesting. I see a lot of payments to Laura and to Sarah Owens. There was over $20,000 of payments to your daughter.
What is the time frame on the ones to Sarah?
Well, didn't you put that in? You tell me. I mean, you're asking me. You tell me. You just filed yesterday
You were saying that this was in the time period between the GoFundMe and the Chapter 13 filing. Is that what you're saying? That there were $20,000 in payments to Sarah then?
You made payments to. Well, no, I know that you just recently said that you made payments to Sarah within 2 years of this bankruptcy of over $21,000. But all right, let me see how we can.
And those were this year, and those were following the sale of a pony that we had. That was paid to Sarah this year.
Okay. All right. Well, the bottom line is, let's just back up. I just want to focus. We're going to get away from the GoFundMe fund for a minute. When you filed your Chapter 13 bankruptcy case, at that point, your LLCs, based on the bank statements, had over $41,000 of business income, correct?
For what time period?
From January 1st, 2025 to August 14th, 2025.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Yeah. I don't have the figures here, but I'm obviously going with what you're saying for that time period. From
you admit in your amendment that you just filed that for the calendar year 2025, you put in your amended schedules filed yesterday that there were $81,059 worth of business revenue, gross income, in the calendar year 2025. That's what you have on your amended schedule. You're standing by that, correct?
Okay, in all of 2025, 81,000.
I'm reading from your amended schedules. This is your statement that you signed under oath.
Right.
Okay. So I looked at the bank statements and I calculated the amount of income or revenue that had been generated before you filed the Chapter 13 case, which was on August 14th, 2025. And it was roughly $41,000. Do you have any reason to dispute that?
Not at all.
Okay. But yet...
Whatever is true.
Okay. But yet, when you filed the Chapter 13 case, you completely failed to disclose any of that business income on your statement of financial affairs that you signed under oath, correct?
I believe that the thinking on that was that we didn't have anything in those accounts at that time, and that was why we did the Chapter 13, that there was no value from those.
No, we're talking about on the statement of financial affairs, you were required to list all gross income from a business for at the time, it would have been 2023, 2024, and for January 1st, 2025 till the date of the Chapter 13 filing. And you said none. And that was false.
Then that was incorrect.
So that was a false
correct.
statement.
All right. Well, I think that was a miscommunication between me and the attorney who was filing it. I had explained to him that we did have LLCs and that I felt that it was a personal bankruptcy, and we didn't have anything in those accounts at that time.
Well, the fact of the matter is, it was a false statement, correct?
I don't have that Chapter 13 filing with me right now, and so I don't know what, I can't see it in person, so I can't really say.
Well, I'm telling you, looking at it right now, I'm looking at it. Docket number 1 from case number 25-7596. You were required to list all gross income from operating a business, and you had none. You said there was none. You're going to deny that?
There was none. Because there was none coming in at that time. I think that's what that refers to. There was none coming in at that time, and we were operating at a loss.
Okay, you were required to list all gross income before deductions and exclusions. It specifically says that on the form.
Well, again, the context of it was that there was no income coming in.
Gross income. Well, really, but that's false. Actually, what you're saying is a false statement, Miss Naylor, because I looked at your bank statements and there was over $41,000 of revenue generated by the LLCs from January 1st, 2025 to August 14th, 2025. Are you going to deny that? That's what the bank statements say.
But I'm saying that as of when we were filing for the bankruptcy, we were operating at a loss on all of those, and we didn't have anything coming in to, that's what I think the context of that was. But again, I don't have the documents in front of me, but that's what, and you can look at the statements. Anytime we had any money coming in at all from the businesses, it was going right out to pay expenses. It was going right out.
You understand the term gross income, don't you?
Yes.
And you read these the forms that you signed under penalty of perjury, did you not?
I had worked with the attorney to, when he had asked me the questions and everything, and yes, I signed them, yes.
Okay, and it specifically says on the form, gross income before deductions and exclusions, right? Isn't that what the form says?
Well,
I'm asking you if that's what that's what the form says, correct?
I don't know. I don't have the form in front of me. Again, I would have to look at the context of it, and I'm trying to explain to you what the context was. We did not have. Okay.
You seem to have understood what was required to be disclosed when you filed the amendment yesterday, because you did accurately state that in the calendar year 2025, there was total gross income to your businesses of over $81,000. So you understood it yesterday, right?
Right.
But you didn't understand it earlier, even though you had an attorney earlier?
No, because again, in the context of where we were when we were filing the Chapter 13, we had to file it because we didn't have income coming in, that we were having losses. We were not profitable. We were losing money. It was a drain. So there wasn't any attempt to hide anything. And as I say, we had filed as a personal bankruptcy, and I was thinking like I say, at the time too, that the LLCs were separate.
Well, let me just ask you this. One of the things in the earlier Chapter 13 case, let's just look at, you were supposed to provide the gross income for part of 2025 up through the petition date, for 2024 and for 2023. Okay? Do you recall that?
Okay.
And this case, which was filed May 22nd, 2026, you were also required to provide 2024 income, 2025 income, and income for January 1st until the date that you filed on May 22nd, 2026, correct?
If you say so.
Well, you don't have your schedules. I'm going to ask that you go get your computer or whatever. I mean, you don't have hard copies of your filings in this case?
No, I stopped trying to print everything out a long time ago because
I don't want to know why you stopped printing things out. Please, you're making this longer than it has to be. Can you pull up on your computer while you're on the phone and pull up the documents that you just filed yesterday?
Hang on a second.
We need you to do that because you are sitting here claiming to be ignorant about documents that you've signed and filed in this case yesterday under oath.
I'm not claiming to be ignorant about anything.
You're saying you're saying that you don't remember, but this is something you filed yesterday. Go get your amended schedules, please.
You were asking me about what had been filed in 2025 in the Chapter 13. That was the last thing you asked me.
No, I was asking you about, I said you had to, in this case, also disclose your gross income for businesses. I just asked you that, and you said, if you say so. And I'm not gonna work like that. You need to have the document in front of you that you signed under oath so that I can examine you about it. So
okay. What? So can you just finish the question for me? Can you just finish the question, and I can see if I can perhaps answer it in that way? Just finish your question for me.
Well, yesterday you filed a sworn statement attesting that the gross income of your businesses for 2024 was $40,785. Right?
Okay.
Is that correct?
Okay. Yes.
That same information was not disclosed in your Chapter 13 statements. Would you admit that?
Again, I believe it was because of the LLCs and the differentiating between the LLCs and our personal situation that we were not.
Okay,
filing
that I
for
understand.
bankruptcy.
Right, I understand. However, if you look at the question in the Chapter 13 statement, it's the identical question that you answer in the Chapter 11. They are the same exact wording, the same, asking for exactly the same information. In the Chapter 13, you disclosed nothing, and now in your amendment from yesterday, you disclosed over $40,000 of gross business income. They are not. One is true and one is not true. Would you agree? They can't both be true.
Well, the truth lies in the context.
No, the truth lies in the fact that they were both exactly the same question. That's why you need to pull up the documents. No, there's no context. They are both the same question, Miss Naylor. Item number 4 on the Statement of Financial Affairs is the same exact question that was on the Chapter 13 statements, that is in the Chapter 11 statements. Now, suddenly, you're disclosing over $40,000 of business income for the year 2024 that was never disclosed in the Chapter 13.
But again, the Chapter 13 was filed in 2025, and the Chapter 11 was filed in 2026, and you're going back to 2024. let me explain something.
No.
about this.
I want you, because this is deviating again. No, I don't want you to explain anything. I want you
No,
to. I
don't
want
let
you
me-
to go
can I
get.
just-
No. I want
Can I
you.
just-
No.
Clara,
I do not want clarification. If I need clarification from you, I will tell you. I am getting frustrated with you because you don't have the schedules in front of you. So why I'm going to ask that you pull up, go get your computer, or I don't know if you have a desktop and you and Mr. Owens can move over there, or if you have a laptop that you can put in front of you. But I need for you to pull up docket number 78 that was docketed yesterday in this case. And then I'm going to also ask that you pull up your petition from the chapter 13. And, well, for right now, that's what I want you to do. Can you do that?
I'm wondering about where we can get the petition from the Chapter 13. The point on the 2024 income is that the difference is that I had not, when we filed for Chapter 13, I had not done our taxes for 2024. So I did not have the accurate information for 2024 when we filed for the Chapter 13. And we also felt that we were filing for the LLCs and not for, that had nothing to do with our personal situation. So the 2024, so then when we did file the Chapter 11 for this year, I had at that point done the 2024 taxes and had a chance to look more at what the actual income was.
Okay, well then let me ask you that. All right, I understand what you're saying. Now I want to ask you this. If that's the case, when you filed your statement of financial affairs on May 22nd under docket 9 in this case, you also said there was no business income at all. So if you already knew, wait, hold on. According to what you just said, by that point, you knew what the 2024 business income was, but you didn't disclose it when you filed a sworn statement in this case on May 22nd, 2026. Isn't that true? You didn't disclose it.
On May 22nd, we filed the skeleton filing at the very, very last minute. We had thought that we had an attorney who was going to file for us, and he backed out at the very last minute. And so we had to file a skeleton filing and did the very, very bare bones that we could do, and knew that we would be amending it and presumed that we would have an attorney to handle it for us. So that was why there was virtually nothing in the filing from May the 22nd, because it was literally a last minute. May the 22nd was a Friday afternoon before the Memorial Day holiday, and the foreclosure auction for our home was scheduled the Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock. So we were in a position where, we had to do a very bare bones filing, knowing that we would be amending it and adding the correct figures.
Well, you didn't say that. In response to the question, did you have any income from employment or from operating a business during this year or the 2 previous calendars, you answered in the affirmative no on a sworn statement. You didn't say yes, but I will amend to give the information. You said no, correct? That's what you said.
Well,
yeah, no, is that what you said? Are you going to deny? I'm looking at it right now. You said no. When you've, in docket number 9, filed under penalty of perjury in this case, you said no, there was no income from operating a business during 2026 or the 2 previous calendar years. And that would have been that was a false statement, correct?
And that was what was on May 22nd?
Yes.
Well, that was the skeleton filing that
I understand. No need to repeat. But I'm going to ask you this. It's still a false statement, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So you didn't indicate, we're going to amend this. You just said no, there was no business income.
Well, that was a mistake. That was
A mistake.
a mistake on my part. And as I say, we were racing to get it down to your building because we had been under the impression that it could be filed electronically.
Okay, I don't need to know.
When
That's fine.
Okay.
However, I do want to point out that if you look at item number 5 on docket number 9 filed in this case, you actually say that the gross income from business for 2026 was $12,500. Now, where'd you come up with that figure?
That figure was because we had leased a pony earlier in the year.
Well, we know that, and I know you're talking about the lease for Frosted Flakes.
Yes.
And so you said your business income that you list here on docket number 9 was only $12,500, and you say that that's based on the lease of the pony Frosted Flakes. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes.
But the fact of the matter is that you were actually paid $25,000 for the Frosted Flakes lease on February 27, 26. So it wasn't $12,500, it was actually $25,000, right?
Correct. And the reason that we stated it as $12,500 was because it is for a year-long lease, and I believe we were interpreting the income that up until that point as it being 50%. So in other words, it was, half a year had gone by, and so half a year was $12,500.
Okay. But you did not include any other income for 2026 besides this $12,500 on your original Chapter 11 Statement of Financial Affairs, correct?
Correct. And outside of the pension and Social Security income, that's basically the case. There have been some contributions to the GoFundMe this year. I think it would be under $1,000 for 2026 because it has remained up there. There would be the pony lease, the Social Security and pension income for 2026. Some like I say, under $1,000 for the GoFundMe, and
let's back up. Let's back up.
A minor amount.
Okay, let me back up. When you filed the Chapter 13 case, you never disclosed the GoFundMe funds, did you?
No, we didn't. Again, it was my understanding at that point that those were the GoFundMe is considered exempt, and it's considered more like a gift as opposed to income. And again, it had all been, the majority of it had been already exhausted, 6 or 8 months before, 6 months before the filing of the Chapter 13.
If that's your understanding, why did you disclose it on the filing yesterday?
Because of the fact that the folks online had brought it up, and they brought it up to the judge, and the judge had asked about it, and we have wanted to be transparent about it.
So earlier you did not want to be transparent about it?
No, it wasn't a question of not being transparent. It was simply a question of I didn't think that it was necessary. The money had been exhausted, and it was, considered a gift, and I didn't think that it was necessary.
You didn't think it was necessary. Okay. I want to quickly ask you, you provided our office with a copy of what is it looks like your 2024 tax return. And
Correct.
Has that been filed with the IRS?
Yes.
Okay, because I don't have a signed copy Is there any reason why you didn't give me a signed copy?
I think I just sent you what I had from H&R Block, who had prepared it.
Are you saying, so I'm sure H&R Block gave you a copy for your own records of your signed and dated copy, did they not?
I can access it online, and that's how I sent it to you. I don't have a printed out copy of it. No.
Well, you're going to
But,
have to.
I mean,
I would ask you that you are. Please go back to H&R Block, and I want a copy of the signed and dated return that was actually filed. Okay.
Okay, so the one that we sent you from their portal is not signed and dated?
No, it is not. Okay, so go and get that from H&R Block. And in the meantime, when I looked at your 2024 tax return, and you had H&R Block assisting you with that, correct?
Correct.
So presumably they knew what they were doing when it came to understanding what gross income is and that sort of thing.
Yes, I was working with a preparer that I have not worked with before, and I was working over the telephone with them in several sessions.
Okay, so the 2024 tax return shows, let me back up. On your most recent amendment to the schedules, you claim under oath that gross business income for 2024 was $40,785, correct?
Again, I don't have the return here, so I'm relying on you to, yeah.
That's not the
That's what I
return I'm
said,
referring to. I'm referring to your schedules that were filed yesterday, that were docketed yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Do you have that copy up now or no?
No, I don't.
I think we're going to have you come in for a deposition, ma'am, because this just isn't working. I wanted this to work where I could just go through the questions. I thought you would be more cooperative in terms of, admitting to the things that you signed under oath. But, you sitting there saying I don't have a copy of it in front of me is just not going to work. We can have you sit in front of me and I'll put these documents in front of you. Your recollection, though, is it not that you said that for 2024, you realized gross income of over $40,000 from your businesses? That's what you attested to under oath in the amendment that was docketed yesterday, correct?
Yes.
Well, your tax return claims that your total gross business income was just about $6,000. Are you aware of that?
I'm wondering whether you're looking at the after expenses.
No, let's
amount.
back up. You had an accountant do your tax return, and I think it's fair for us to presume an accountant understands what gross receipts means. Gross income. So I'm looking at your tax return that you say was already filed. The gross receipts that it indicates for 2024 is only $6,704. That's what you filed with the IRS.
That may be for just one of the businesses. I'm not sure. I had looked at it, and I looked it over twice, and it seemed okay. So I'm not sure.
Well, I'm looking at your tax return. I'm looking at your tax return, and it shows the accountant that assisted you from H&R Block listed statement of profit and loss first for Nobody Told Me, LLC, which realized gross receipts in 2024 of $6,704. Okay? Does that sound about right?
Right, okay.
Okay. Now, the next page, on your tax return says Quartet Farms LLC, and there's 0 for gross receipts in your tax
Okay.
return. The next page,
Okay.
you also have Lizmax, and that has no income. So let me ask you, where did you come up with this figure in the amendment that was filed yesterday showing $40,000 of gross receipts?
And this is for 2024.
Yes.
Okay, well, the 6,704 for nobody told me is, I'm sure, from the, whatever you call the 1099s that were for that. For Quartet in 2024, again, I would have to look at my records, but we were running at a loss, and
I understand,
recall-
Miss Naylor. You keep trying to disregard my emphasis on gross income. I asked you earlier, do you understand what gross income means? Do you understand what that means?
Yes, I do.
Oh, wait,
But
hold
I'm
on. So
telling
what
you,
is
I don't-
your understanding of gross income means that it's the total receipts that the business gets before paying out any bills, right?
Correct.
Okay, so
Correct.
you keep talking about how you were operating at a loss. It doesn't matter if the business is operating at a loss. Gross income is the revenue that was generated, and you deviated again because my question was, you attested under oath in the filing yesterday that your gross business income for the year 2024 was $40,785. That's what you attested to in the filing yesterday, correct?
Yes. Yes.
But that
Yes.
seems to contradict your 2024 tax return that only claims about $6,000 of gross income. They are inconsistent. Can you explain that to me?
And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm explaining to you that the nobody told me income, the 6,704, must be from 1099s that we received for nobody told me. For Quartet, I don't believe we had any sales or income for 2024, any gross income. I don't believe we did because we were running at a loss. As far as Lizmax is concerned, we would have had, and I know that I had given the tax preparer the details on the revenue that we had gotten from Lizmax, because we did have rental income from Lizmax, and so I'm not sure how she interpreted that or whether that was a mistake in her.
Oh, okay. You want to say, so you're saying the accountant made a mistake, like the lawyers in the past? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that I had given her the information that there was no attempt to hide any income whatsoever because...
Well, then answer my question. You keep not answering my question. How did you come up with the figure of $40,785 of gross income from business that was filed yesterday? Where did you get that figure from? You tell me how you calculated.
I'm sure that is from the nobody told me income. It is from the Lizmax income from whatever rental we had gotten from that. And if there was any income for Quartet, but again, I don't believe that there was. So I believe that it's correct to say that there was zero income for Quartet. And as far as Lizmax is concerned, I'm going to have to go back and check and see, because I know that I had given the accountant the information on the rental income that we did have from Lizmax. So why it didn't translate, I think perhaps it didn't translate because we had massive losses from that. But I'm saying what we had given to you in the docket with regard to $40,000 in business income in 2024, I'm sure is accurate.
Okay, so you're saying that your your federally filed tax returns are inaccurate.
No, I'm saying I need to look at how she calculated that.
Well, there's an itemization of gross receipts, and it says 0 for Lizmax and for Quartet, and it only says 6,700 for Nobody told me.
I think maybe she was in putting that in there, that maybe she was saying that we hadn't gotten any 1099s for Lizmax or for Quartet, any documented government stuff that would. I'll have to look, because I do know that I gave her that information and she may have put it, elsewhere. I mean, we didn't have any W-2s or 1099s or anything like that would have been associated with Lizmax or Quartet on the 2024 income tax. That would have only been for Nobody Told Me.
All you had to do is look at the bank statements to see the gross revenue, correct?
No, not well. I mean,
I looked at the bank
guess.
statements and I was able to calculate the gross income of each of the entities for the 18-month period for which you gave me the bank statements. In any event, this is something that I'm going to have to pursue in a deposition with you, because, again, I need you to have these documents in front of you. One of the things that you did finally admit to in your recent filing is that you are paying the living expenses of your daughter, Laura Owens, correct?
Correct.
And you state in Schedule J that your monthly expenses for her, and you referred to her as a dependent, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and you say, well, where did you put this? Let me see, hold on. 1 second. Okay, let me just go.
Campaign grilled by the U.S. Attorney, Jerry.
Excuse me, who is that? You, Miss Naylor, speaking?
Not me.
Not me.
Somebody just again. Okay, I am looking at your statement of financial affairs that was docketed yesterday, and it says that you have, for between 2024 and 2025, that you gave gifts to Laura Owens in the total amount of $19,608. Correct?
That I gave what to her?
You gave gifts through ongoing monthly support to your daughter, Laura Owens, of $19,608.
Okay.
That's what you said in your sworn statement, correct?
Correct. Yes, I couldn't understand what you had said. It cracked.
Okay, well, tell me how you calculated that amount.
From the fact that we pay for her car.
No, I need to know specifically how you came up with that number. I don't need generalities. I want to know specifically how you came up with the amount $19,608. What does that include for the period 2024 to 2025?
It includes clothing. It includes food. It includes whatever the housing would be. It includes the car, the insurance. It includes the basic, life necessities.
Well, I know what you're telling me it includes, but how did you calculate it? Like, what amount did you attribute for that 2-year period to food?
Best guess estimates, it
Well, you
definitely
came up
could have been more.
You came up with this figure recently, and you came up with a very specific figure of $19,608 or whatever it was. Let me go back there. $19,608. That's a very specific amount, Ms. Naylor, and I want to know how you calculated it. Do you have an itemization somewhere that you wrote down, like what it was that you included in that as gifts to your daughter?
I was ballparking it.
You ballparked a number and said $19,608 for a ballpark figure?
Well, again, if you're talking about day-to-day living expenses and having to go back.
No, I'm
figure
asking
out,
you, you just said that you ballparked a figure. If you were going to ballpark a figure, wouldn't it be a round number? You said $19,608. That's a very specific number. How did you ballpark a figure at $19,608?
Just, again, looking at basically like the cost of the car, the cost of the insurance, the estimated, living things. Just what she would have been, entitled to. I don't run a calculator and keep track of everything. I was trying to estimate that this is.
So you gave an amount of $19,608 for as a ballpark figure. Is that you just came up with that out of nowhere? Just a made up figure?
Again, no, it's not a made up figure. It's of estimates that I figured, were accurate.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. This was supposed to cover the period, according to your own sworn statement here, for 2024 through 2025, correct?
Correct.
And you say that included amounts that you were funding for her car and car insurance?
Correct.
Well,
because we also share the car with her.
Well, whose name is the car in? Whose name is the car in?
The car is in her name.
Okay, so I just calculated if you take the amount of the car payments and the car insurance payments for a 2-year period, that's over $25,000. So clearly the figure that you gave for gifts is understated, wouldn't you say?
Well, again, I would say that part of that car expense and that insurance expense is used by us. And I would also mention the fact that the car and insurance costs have recently really soared compared to what they were in 2024 and 2025 because of the bankruptcy situation. The car costs soared, as did the insurance.
Let me ask you, you're claiming that you're claiming you have some kind of equitable interest in the car? Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm saying that we use the car, that my husband and I use the car.
Well, you use the car, but do you claim that you have any kind of interest in that vehicle?
We pay the expense for it.
I'm asking if you claim any interest in the car, Mrs. Owens. Do you claim any interest in that vehicle?
I haven't ever even thought about it.
Well, think about it now. Do you claim any type of equitable interest in any entitlement to that car? Yes or no? I need a yes or no answer. You either do claim that you have some kind of ownership or equitable interest in the lease, or you claim that you do not. Which is it?
Well, I think that legally, since my name and my husband's name are not on it, I would think that legally, no, we don't. but from a
Okay.
practical standpoint, we pay for it. So,
Well, you pay for it as a gift to your daughter, you said. That's what you included in the gifts that you listed on the Statement of Financial Affairs, right?
yes, yes.
Well, let me ask you, when you put down in the amount of, and I guess what I'm going to have to do is ask you formally for documents, and I'm going to be asking for copies of all the insurance between 2024 through today, so I can see it precisely. I mean, you're claiming that it's soared, that all of a sudden it's a much higher amount, but I want to know how much you have been paying exactly on insurance and the vehicle lease, so we could figure out how you came up with this $19,000 gift figure. But I'm wondering, does that figure include the $3,500 of payments you made to your daughter's criminal defense attorney in July of 2025?
Does the $19,000 include that?
Yep.
The $19,000 was just in terms of basic, expenses.
Okay, so your bank records reflect that on July 9th, 2025, you paid $1,500 to Josh Colesrud. Then on July 10th, 2025, you paid $1,500 to Josh Colesrud. And on July 11th, 2025, you paid $500 to Josh Colesrud. So that's a total of $3,500 to Josh Colesrud, who was your daughter's criminal defense attorney at one point. Is that correct?
Correct.
Why didn't you include that in it? Was that when you paid that money? Was that a gift to your daughter?
It wasn't something I was thinking of one way or the other. It was a legal expense.
Well, it wasn't your legal expense. It was your daughter's legal expense, right?
Correct.
So why isn't that included among the amount that you gifted to your daughter on your sworn statements?
Again, because I don't really consider that a gift. I consider that a legal expense.
Of your daughter, correct?
Well,
You're gonna
yes,
you're
but
gonna claim.
also-
Wait a minute. Just stop. Are you going to sit here and claim that the attorney payments to your daughter's attorney, Mr. Colesrud, was anything for you other than a payment for your daughter's criminal defense? That was for her criminal defense. He was her lawyer, not your lawyer, right?
well, part of our family businesses, including our podcast, Nobody Told Me, and, that she was a part of. So I think that helping her defend herself on that helps the family overall and the family businesses overall. I mean, that's so. I think that it's not something that you can just say, oh, that's just to help her. That it needs to be done for the family reputation as well.
Okay, so you're going to deny that the money that you paid to your daughter's criminal defense attorney were gifts to her?
Well, I'm
asking you if you're denying that. Either you admit that they were gifts or you don't. Yes or no? Just tell me yes or no. If you don't think they were gifts, say, I know I don't think they were gifts. If you do believe they were gifts...
I'm saying I don't see it as a gift. I see it as an expense for the reputation of the family.
Okay.
And our ability to go forward with regard to some of the businesses that we've had.
Well, is the Nobody Told Me COD podcast still ongoing?
It's still available online, and we are still making some income from it. And yeah.
Okay, let's see. I understand that you currently hold $7,000 in cashier checks that were not previously disclosed when you first filed this case on May 22nd. Is that correct?
I did not hold the $7,000 in cashier's checks on May 22nd. I just recently took those out.
Why did you take out $7,000 of cashier's checks since filing this case? And you took it out of what, your bank account that you had at the time of the bankruptcy filing?
Yes, I took it out. It was because we did not set up the debtor in possession accounts, and we didn't do those because we had early on realized that we wanted to dismiss this, and the money that goes into our accounts is Social Security and pension income, and going forward, because we weren't continuing with the Chapter 11, it didn't seem to make sense to set up the DIP accounts. And also my understanding was that I really would need an attorney to go with me to set up those accounts. And as we've previously discussed, we were unable to find counsel for that. So I didn't know whether that was actually going to be required of me since we have filed for dismissal. So I wanted to protect the money that had been in those accounts and to take it out as cashier's checks that I have on hand. If it were to be required that I set up the DIP accounts, I wanted to have that cash available, or the money available to deposit if need be.
All right. So what account did you take those $7,000 of cashier checks out of?
That was taken out of our main checking account, 0140. I believe it all came out of that account.
And what was the source of the cashier's checks? Who issued those to you?
Bank of America.
Well, let me ask you, when I'm looking at the time that you filed this case on May 22nd, you said that there was only $100 in the Bank of America account ending 0140. So was that false?
No, that was true.
So then when did that $7,000 go into the account 0140?
On July 1st, it was. We get our pension checks on the first of the month, and so there were, that's what it had come from the monthly deposits.
But it doesn't. Your pension checks don't come out to be a round number of $7,000. So I don't understand. Like how many cashier's checks do you have?
I have one for 1,000 and one for 6,000.
Okay, and you got the cashier's checks drawn from your own account that held $7,000 in it.
It held more money than that in it, but that money was being used to pay for day-to-day living expenses, and we had an automatic withdrawal coming up for the car insurance, and so I did not close those accounts, but took the majority of what was in there out, so that again, if I were required to do the debtor in possession accounts, I would have the funds to do it.
Okay. I'll have to see. I mean, you're not to spend that money. Do you understand that?
Correct.
Okay. At this point, you have to be mindful of the fact that you're in bankruptcy and you can't be like taking money out of accounts and then hiding it like that. Maybe you should just...
Right, and that's why I had it. That's deliberately why I had it in cashier's checks, so that it would be very clear that I wasn't attempting to hide it.
Okay, well, maybe you should just deposit it back in there. I don't know what's going to happen with the dismissal. I know that we have a hearing on the 27th. if the judge at that point, I mean, I think what you need to do is put it back into your account is what I think you need to do.
Well, would it be possible for me to set up a different account, because I had gotten notified by Bank of America that as of August 10th, they are closing our business account for Quartet Farms, and I'm concerned that they might close the other accounts that could I open would I have your permission to open an account with a credit union and deposit that money in the credit union account?
What I'm going to say is this. I think that you are currently in a Chapter 11 bankruptcy that has not been dismissed, and therefore your obligation is to open up a debtor in possession account, and that's what you should be doing. That's all I'm going to say. You have to determine for yourself. I can't give you legal advice, but that has been your obligation since the day you filed this case, that you were required to open a debtor in possession account, and you have not. So I'll just leave it at that. So are you still supporting your daughter, Laura Owens?
Yes.
And does she earn any income on her own?
She has been unable to.
Well, my answer is, that's just listen to my question. Does your daughter earn any income of her own currently? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. So I understand just from public information that your daughter has a private criminal defense attorney currently, correct?
Correct.
Are you paying for that attorney?
No.
Who's paying for that?
I don't know. I have not addressed this with her. She knows that we don't have the funds to pay her, and I know she's been
You have no idea how
you
have no idea how your daughter who lives with you and who completely relies on you for all of her support is paying for a criminal defense attorney for pending felony counts against her? Is that what you're telling me? You have no idea? Is that what you're saying?
I know that she has been working to pardon me?
I'm asking if that's what you're expecting
I know that
me.
she
Go ahead.
I'm telling you, she knows that we don't have the funds to help her at this point. And so she has, reached out to others to help her with this.
So
and the details of it, I don't know.
So you have no idea how your daughter's paying for her current criminal defense attorney. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying...
No, is that what you're saying?
I don't.
Either you do not know or
Yes.
you do know. Do you know?
I'm saying we told her we can't help her with it, and I know that she has reached out to others to help her, and I don't know the details.
Okay, so you're expecting me to believe that the daughter that you support fully and who lives with you has not told you how she's able to pay for her criminal defense attorney currently. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's
All right.
36.
Okay.
One of the things...
All right, let's move on. One of the things that you put in the Schedule I that you just filed, all of a sudden you decided to disclose that you get income from this Nobody Told Me podcast, and you had never previously disclosed that in your prior Chapter 13 or your original Chapter 11 schedules, correct?
Correct, because again, it was an LLC, and it has been absolutely decimated.
Okay, I don't. You're saying you're giving me some reason that doesn't make any sense to me, but all of a sudden, for the first time, you have decided that you were going to disclose that Nobody Told Me generates income to you of $50 per month. That's the first time you have ever disclosed that was on this filing from yesterday, right?
Right.
Okay. So let me ask you something. you keep talking about expenses and you say you understand what gross income means. Why didn't you disclose on Schedule I of your documents of your that was filed yesterday? If you look at Schedule I, it requires for business income, and nobody told me LLC is a business, correct?
Is a what? I'm sorry, you broke up there.
Nobody told me LLC is your business. It's a business.
Correct.
Why didn't you report this $50 of income on item line 8A, which asks for net income from operating a business? Why didn't you do that?
Because it's so small.
Well, I'm sorry,
like
Miss Naylor, you don't get to decide where things go on the forms just because you think it's trivial. You need to fix this, and you need to properly report this on item 8A. And one of the things that you will see is that item 8A requires that you attach a statement for each business showing gross receipts, ordinary and necessary business expenses, and then the total monthly net income. So you need to do that, okay?
Okay.
All right, and I also understand that you failed to pay the fee, the filing fee, for the amendment that was just docketed yesterday. Can you explain why you didn't pay that fee?
We did pay the fee.
When did you pay it?
We paid it yesterday. We spoke to Raquel in the...
Okay, but you didn't...
We amended something yesterday and paid it. Paid $34. Is that what you're talking about?
I'm talking about the fact that at docket 74, the court or the clerk issued a notice that you failed to pay the fee with respect to this amendment filed at docket 78.
Well, it has been paid.
Okay, well, you're saying it was paid yesterday. Well, okay, I'm just telling you, I'm looking at docket 74 from yesterday that said that the $34 fee was not paid, but now you're saying it was paid?
Yeah.
Okay. Also, one of the things that you failed to include in your amendment was the summary of assets and liabilities. Can you explain to me why you didn't include that required document?
Again, an oversight. Again, I'm not. This is why I have filed to dismiss this, because I'm not an attorney and I don't have the ability, to do this. I know a lot of attorneys don't even handle Chapter 11, and they handle 7 and 13, but they don't handle 11 because it is so complicated, and it's clearly way above my pay grade.
Okay, well, you need to file that. So you need to amend Schedule I to move the income from nobody told me up to item 8A, and you need to file a summary of assets and liabilities. Okay?
Okay.
Also, I believe you were required to file a monthly operating report on June 21st for the last month, showing your income and expenses for the last month of May. But you didn't do that. Can you explain why?
Again, because we had filed for dismissal, I was thinking that this would be dismissed and that would not be required.
Okay. Let me ask you, I want to make sure that there aren't other accounts that you previously had that you haven't disclosed. Did you have a Wells Fargo account at some point in the last few years?
Yeah, I did. I had a checking account that I think it had under, I don't know, it was overdrawn last I heard.
Well, did you close the account?
I believe Wells Fargo closed the account.
Okay, and when do you believe they did that?
Around the time of the Chapter 13 filing. I don't have the exact date.
But you never...
I believe that they were listed. I think they were listed as a creditor that I put them like $218 or something.
Okay, well, they might have been listed as a creditor, but you never listed the account as having been closed within 1 year prior to the bankruptcy. Why not?
Well, again, because I didn't close it, I believe they did.
It doesn't matter.
And I don't know when.
It doesn't matter.
But I don't know.
You were required.
Or,
let me just tell you, you were required to disclose. Let's see, I can give you the exact wording. Within 1 year before the bankruptcy, were any financial accounts held in your name or for your benefit closed, sold, moved, or transferred. It doesn't say did you, it say were any accounts closed. And you did not disclose the Wells Fargo account, correct?
correct.
And that's a false statement because there was an account that was closed in your name.
Okay.
Is that right?
Yes, yeah. Again, I never got any notification that they had closed it or anything like that, but whatever you say.
All right, so you paid between May of 2025 and May of 2026, you made $21,000 of payments to your daughter, Sarah, correct?
Uh-huh.
And yes, I need an actual answer, no noises.
Yes.
Okay, so can you tell me what was the purpose of those payments?
Those payments were made, they were reimbursements to her. She is a co-signer on our mortgage, and she had advanced her own funds to keep our HELOC, our basic utilities, and our life insurance, and in some cases food costs paid because we were strapped for cash.
Okay.
And so once we had leased out the pony,
Well, let me ask you, can I ask you something? You paid $21,000 to your daughter. Why didn't you take that money and pay it over to the mortgage to prevent the foreclosure?
Because it wouldn't have done anything to prevent the foreclosure.
Well, it sounds like you're just accepting that there's going to be a foreclosure. Is that fair to say? Because you're not doing anything to try to fix it, but by paying it.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We're not accepting that there's going to be a foreclosure. But as I say, it was clear from the statements that from the communication that we had received from the servicer that $20,000 was not going to be enough to prevent the foreclosure. So it wouldn't have done anything. And
you keep saying that, but if you add up all of these amounts, then maybe it would have done something. I mean, you decided to pay your daughter instead of the mortgage on your home that's now in foreclosure. I mean, that's what you did, right?
No, she was a lifeline, and she was a co-signer on that, and she had made some HELOC payments, and that was to, help us with the mortgage as well. And she had advanced her own money, and as I say, that she had been.
I understand why you did it. I understand what you're saying, but the fact of the matter is, you chose to pay over $20,000 to your daughter instead of paying that money over to the mortgagee on the home. You made that choice, correct?
We were in.
I'm not asking. I need a yes or no answer. Is that the choice you made? It wasn't a choice that was foisted upon you by someone else. You chose to pay your daughter instead of the mortgage directly, correct? You made that choice. I'm asking you, did you make that choice? Yes or no? No, it's a yes or no question, Miss Naylor. What did you or did you not make the decision to pay your daughter to reimburse her instead of pay the mortgage on your home?
That wouldn't have paid the mortgage on.
I'm not asking that. I'm not asking that. I'm asking you chose, did you not, to pay your daughter, to reimburse her over $20,000 of money instead of paying that money to the mortgagee. Is that right? That's what you did. Just admit that that's what you did, because I don't know how you deny that you made that choice, because that's what you did, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
But again,
there you go. I don't want to hear the explanation. I don't need an explanation. I just wanted you to acknowledge that that's what you did. All right. I don't think, there's a couple of questions, they're little questions, but I do think we're going to have you come in for a deposition, because I can't have you sent me a document that says accounting of GoFundMe funds, and you acknowledge that you sent that to me, right?
right.
And now you're claiming that you think it was supposed to be an accounting of how all of your money was expended over the 18-month period from January 1st of 2025 through June. That's what you're saying that you intended the accounting to be?
My understanding was that the judge had talked about GoFundMe and that you had talked about GoFundMe as well, but you had brought up these other issues, and the judge did not clarify whether she only had wanted the GoFundMe information. So I wanted to be very transparent and to leave no questions unanswered.
Okay, but the bottom line is you provided me with a document that you titled Accounting of GoFundMe Funds, right?
Correct.
Okay. And I read that to mean that you were going to be, that what you provided me was an itemization of how you specifically used the $132,000 of GoFundMe monies that you received. That's how I interpreted it. Is that wrong that I interpreted it like that?
No.
Okay, so what you provided me shows how you used the money, the $132,000 of GoFundMe funds, correct?
Correct.
And then if you look at it, you say that the total of GoFundMe funds was about $132,000, and you actually give me an itemization of expenditures totaling about $144,000, right?
Uh-huh.
Is that correct? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. So are you now telling me that you're admitting that what you gave me, the $144,000 of itemized expenditures, was what you claim the GoFundMe funds were used for? Is that what you're saying?
There wasn't $144,000 coming into the GoFundMe, so that the $144,000 in expenditures had obviously included other money that had come into our account from pension and Social Security, and was not just GoFundMe.
Okay. So why did you give me an itemization of expenditures that totaled $144,000? Why didn't you give me an itemization of expenditures that totaled the amount of the GoFundMe funds?
I'm so sorry. Could you start again? I accidentally hit a button that muted you on
Sure.
my phone.
I'm asking, why did you give me an itemization of expenditures that totaled $144,000 and not just give me an itemization of expenditures that corresponded to the total GoFundMe funds?
Because I wanted to be very transparent and show you everything that had come in and gone out.
Okay.
In that time period.
Okay.
Like I say, we're talking about more money than the GoFundMe received.
And I understand what you're saying, but I'm going to tell you something after having gone through your bank statements, okay? The spending that you and Mr. Owens expended, the total disbursements out of all of your accounts for the time period from December 27th, 2024 through June 25th, 2026, the total disbursements is over $523,000. Did you know that?
that doesn't sound right for a year and a half.
That is,
that doesn't sound,
well, you might not think it sounds right, but that's what out from all disbursements out of just account 0140 totaled over $523,000. Just out of that one account. So you were not trying to give me transparency of all disbursements because you only told me about $144,000.
But we gave you every statement.
Right, but I'm talking about the accounting you gave me. So I'm trying to figure out what it was you were trying to give me with this accounting. You're claiming you were trying to give. You're saying that
we were trying to give you the specific GoFundMe in and the GoFundMe out.
But you gave me but now when I ask you about that, you're pointing out that the itemization of expenditures was $144,000 worth of expenditures, which is more than the $132,000 of GoFundMe funds. So I'm trying to figure out why you would provide me with a list of payments in excess of the GoFundMe funds if you were trying to just account for the GoFundMe funds. I'm trying to figure that out. I don't understand it.
I mean, just to show you if there was the commingling or whatever, that you could clearly see, this was GoFundMe, this came into 0349, this then went to 0140, and then it went to pay X, that you could see what had gone out to pay that month.
Okay, well, I'm telling you that clearly you decided to just pick a selecting number because in that time period that covers this accounting that you gave me, there were actually $523,000 of total disbursements from your account 0140. So you have
a year and a half.
Yeah, but that was the account that covered this accounting that you provided me.
Right. And so if you figure our pension and Social Security.
No. Wait. Back up. I don't want to talk about the income. I'm just talking about the fact that you clearly weren't trying to give me a itemization of all of your expenditures in that, in that time period, because it was well in excess of $144,000. So to the extent,
but
I understand that I understand, but here's the thing, Mrs. Naylor or Mrs. Owens, if you were going to just try to itemize or correspond the GoFundMe funds and give me an itemization of how those monies were spent, you would have given me an itemization of expenditures that totaled the amount of GoFundMe funds, right? I mean, wouldn't that have been the logical thing to do?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but you didn't do that. You didn't do that. Instead, you gave me this random number of expenditures, $144,000, right? So it was like $12,000 more than what you needed to account for. And now when I asked you about it, you said, well, I wanted to show you all the expenditures during that entire period. But that can't be true because you had, in just one account, there were over $500,000 of disbursements. So I just want you to be clear about what we're talking about here. And I think what we're going to have to do is get you in for a deposition where I can put these documents in front of you, documents that you signed under oath. We talked about, there were clear contradictions between what you said under oath in the Chapter 13 and what you filed on May 22nd in this case, and then what you filed yesterday. Clear contradictions where they just don't jive. And I know you're trying to say, well, I didn't understand that, but it was the same exact forms and you have totally different answers. So clearly, without you sitting in front of me with those documents in front of you, I'm not going to be able to fully and properly examine you on these things. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to do a Rule 2004 exam. I will send that out, and I'm going to ask for additional documentation from you about some of the things we talked about today. So I guess since you're on the line and we're going to conclude the 341, why don't you give me an idea? I mean, we have this hearing on, when is the hearing on this case?
My understanding was that the next hearing, the dismissal hearing on August the 6th.
August the 6th. Okay. That's right. That's right. So
But you mentioned something on the 27th. And
I'm sorry.
not
I was incorrect
sure
about
what-
that. Yeah, I was incorrect. Sorry. All right. So
Okay.
it is now the 16th. Can you tell me what your availability is to come into my office face to face and do a deposition, like over the next few weeks?
Let me go and get my calendar. Can you hang on just one
Actually,
second?
you know what? That's fine. I thought you might know it. Why don't we do this? We will conclude this matter, and then you can send me an email and tell me precisely the dates that you're available, and we can go from there. And I'll set it. But I'll have to file my Rule 2004 request.
Okay.
All right. So I think that's it. I mean, there's no creditors on the line, so I am going to conclude this matter and we will go off the record, and I will wait to hear from you by email about when we can set up your deposition. Okay?
Okay. How long do those usually take, and what date would you like to have it done by?
I think it would be better to have it before the continued hearing. So if we can do it before August 6th, that would be best. So that's number one. Number two, the length of these often depends upon the cooperation of the witness, and the witness being candid and forthright. When witnesses try to be evasive and explain away things without answering straightforward questions, typically they are longer, sort of like this 341 meeting. So I'd like to, have you come in and then we can just kind of go through the documents. I'll have them right in front of you, and then we can try to get to the bottom of this. And, at some point, Miss Naylor and Mr. Owens, you're going to have to acknowledge that there were false statements made. I know you want to try to explain away the false statements, but we know by looking at your various pleadings filed under oath, you can't deny that you previously made false statements under oath. I mean, is that fair to say that you have to admit that there were false statements under oath in your prior pleadings? Will you at least admit that?
Yeah, yes. I mean, as I say, a lot of this was lack of understanding, or what was actually being asked and what was necessary to file. And
Okay. So, but the problem with that explanation is that you had an attorney assisting you in the Chapter 13, so that doesn't really work for the Chapter 13 omissions.
It was a very brief. Well,
okay, so we'll just leave it at that, and I'll delve into that further at the deposition. We will conclude this matter and go off the record. Okay, I'm off the record, and thank you very much. And I'll wait to hear from you so that we can schedule your exam.
okay, but just the one thing. I mean, should we plan on like an hour, 2 hours? What?
Oh, I would set aside 8 hours because that's what I'm allowed to do.
8 hours?
Well, that's, like I said, Miss Naylor, it's all going to be dependent upon how you answer questions, right? If you take up a lot of time, pontificating and going off on tangents, then it's going to be long. If you want it, when I ask you a yes or no question and you answer it sincerely, and just answer the questions as I ask them, then it'll go quicker. But I am entitled to examine you for up to 8 hours.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I think my phone may be about to die here.
All right. Well, we're off the record and we're concluding this matter. So I'll wait to hear from you for dates that you're available.
Understand one other thing, please. Some of the answers that I was also trying to give were to, appease the crowd on the line so that they would not be going further into.
Well, that shouldn't color. Your testimony should just be truthful and forthright, and you shouldn't be trying to change what you say or how you testify based on how people perceive it. So that's not really a good excuse for some of the evasiveness I saw here today. I think that one thing I do want to point out is that since you still have that GoFundMe up, you have to understand that while you're in this bankruptcy case, all of those funds become part of the bankruptcy estate. So you cannot, like, you really have to understand that once you filed this bankruptcy petition, you opened up yourself to the entire, mandate of the bankruptcy code and the procedures that you have to follow, right? You can't just file a bankruptcy to stop a foreclosure and then do whatever you want. So you have this GoFundMe. If you have funds coming in, those all need to be set aside, and you shouldn't be paying any creditors. You shouldn't be paying anything that is not a necessary living expense for just you and your husband. Do you understand? Great.
Should we?
Did you
shut the
did you hear what I said, ma'am?
I did.
Okay. So I want you to be mindful, because if the case gets converted to Chapter 7, any funds that came in while this case was in Chapter 11 will have to be turned over to the Chapter 7 trustee. Okay?
But there are no funds.
I can't understand you. You sound like you're in a tunnel.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me see. You there?
No, I can't really hear you. Nope.
I'm sorry. All of the funds were gone a year and a half ago.
Well, I'm just
And the
talking.
house-
Yeah, I'm talking about the fact that the GoFundMe page is still up, so you still might be getting. And I can see, just anybody in the public can see who's donating and when. So if there's money that still comes in, I don't know if people are still donating. If they are, I'm just telling you that money that's coming in from that source, you need to make sure that every dollar that you have of income into your account needs to be accounted for, because you're in bankruptcy now. I just want you to be aware of that. Okay?
Right. So you're saying it might be smart to just close the GoFundMe and then not leave it up there?
I think that's for you to decide. I can't tell you what to do, but I'm a little confused as to why you still have it up when you said you said that it was to get yourself out of debt so you didn't have to file bankruptcy, but yet you're in bankruptcy anyway. So it seems like it doesn't seem to align with what your stated purpose of the GoFundMe was, but that's for you to decide.
Right. Okay, so just so that I know when we do the other hearing, what specific areas are you wanting to further explore?
Well, clearly we need to sit down with and look at the schedules you filed in the Chapter 13, the schedules you filed originally in this case, and then the schedules that were docketed yesterday. And we need to go through them. We're going to go through them line by line, and you're going to see, I want you to see the stark difference in the testimony under oath, because it's pretty apparent to me that you made false statements under oath. Let's just assume, for the sake of argument, that the current amendment filed yesterday is the truth and nothing but the truth. Well, then your prior statements were clearly false. So that's number one. I need to go through those. And I need to go through the accounting with you, because it just doesn't make sense. You were ordered by the court to give me an accounting. It's not even like I asked for it. The court ordered this on the court's own decision. And yet you gave me something that I thought I could rely on. And then today you were kind of all over the place, not really admitting that what you gave me was a true accounting of how you expended the GoFundMe money. So I need to delve into that, because I'm not sure what purpose that was, that you gave me that document if I couldn't rely on it to constitute an accounting of how you spent the GoFundMe money. And clearly I can't, because one of the items was the Macy's, and you're saying that, no, that was not part of how we used the GoFundMe money, but that's what your accounting says.
Right. But and again, like I say, I was just trying to be able to say that, look, this money had gone out, and yeah.
Well, I don't know what you were doing, but it's clear that this lacks any reliability, because you're You're not standing by what it is titled. You're calling it an accounting of GoFundMe funds, but now you're saying that's not what it is. So I don't, that's a little bit frustrating. So I guess what I would ask, and I will inform the court if this isn't done, I would ask that you fix this and give me a proper accounting of exactly how the $132,528.36 of GoFundMe funds was expended.
Okay. But again, just for my own information, I mean, please understand, I'm not trying to be contrary or anything like that, but since this was spent long before we filed the Chapter 13 and long before we filed the Chapter 11, I don't understand why the GoFundMe, is pertinent at this point.
Okay, I understand that you don't understand. I don't know what to tell you about that. It is. I just don't know what to tell you about that. I mean, it's relevant. One of the things that actually concerns me is that you misappropriated GoFundMe funds and misled donors, and that opens yourself up to potential claims. So we have to know whether or not the creditor class, whether you've properly identified all potential creditors. Because
in what sense? I mean, again, please, understand. I'm really not trying to be confrontational here. I really don't.
I understand you don't understand, but I think, and maybe for a minute, just think about this. If you look at the posting on the GoFundMe, there's a suggestion that there are funds needed for medical expenses and because you're having financial troubles. And I think that it would be fair to assume, most reasonable people would assume that funds would then be used for paying bills that are necessary for your day-to-day living, paying for food, utilities, phone, groceries, medical things. I don't think it's reasonable to assume that donors would know or expect that GoFundMe money is being used to pay Macy's credit card bills. I don't think so. And I don't think it's reasonable for people who give money through GoFundMe to think that their money is being used to fund life insurance or ADT home security systems. I think that is something I need to explore because, like I said, there's a potential claim out there, and we need to see the extent to which your schedules are accurate in terms of disclosing all potential claimants against you and Mr. Owens. That's just one.
But again, with regard to, like I say, the ADT thing, we have had death threats against us.
Well, that doesn't sound like that comes from the medical issues. It sounds like that might relate to what you call your smear campaign. And that's fine. You might feel like that's necessary. But my point, Miss Naylor, is that I don't think it's reasonable to put out a call on GoFundMe that talks about your husband's medical ailments and then use that for home security system. That doesn't seem to be the kind of necessity. I mean, you said yourself in the accounting you gave me, you said itemized list of necessities. That's what you referred to it as. And I think it's a bit of a stretch to say that Macy's is a necessity, that life insurance is a necessity, that ADT home is a necessity. I mean, that just goes beyond what I think is reasonable.
Well, the ADT thing also, with regard to the medical alert, there is a sweetie, please don't stand up. Please,
Okay, I understand that you're trying to explain it, but it doesn't make sense to me. So, you're not addressing the Macy's or the life insurance. So the bottom line is that the judge wanted you to give me an accounting of the GoFundMe funds. She ordered it. So I feel that based on the court's order for that document, it is my obligation as a trial attorney for the U.S. trustee to fully examine the accounting. And that's what I was trying to do, but I was stopped because I was not able to fully examine it with you because you're basically denying what it is that you provided to me was an actual itemization of how you used the GoFundMe money. So we're going to have to get to the bottom of that in a setting where I can put in front of you your own documents, and then you could say, well, you're saying that, I don't see it. Well, we won't have that problem if you're in here and I'm putting papers in front of you. So, I mean, that's the best I can offer you in terms of an explanation as to why the GoFundMe is relevant. I mean, clearly the judge thought it was relevant. So if I were you, I would not question it anymore because the judge thought it was irrelevant enough to order that you provide me an accounting. Okay? Okay, Miss Naylor? I'm not hearing anything in response. Okay. I'm assuming that you hung up.
I think her phone died.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's it. Then I'm going to hang up. Thank you all for joining us.